Hi, my name is Michelle Fox. Welcome to my presentation entitled Caritas Process Number 9. This is for Foundations of a Caring Science, Summer 2019. And the Caritas process is one of the names for Gene Watson's theory of caring, has 10 factors, and we were asked to speak on one of those factors and to develop it into this presentation. And I chose number 9, and I love it. It just jumped off the page at me. Reverentially assisting with basic needs as sacred acts, touching the mind, body, spirit of others, sustaining human dignity. And what I feel like she's saying in that statement is that doing basic needs for people is a sacred act. Sorry about my mouse, I'll stop that. Touching the mind, body, and spirit, and that sustains human dignity. And it's just such a beautiful thought to me. And I'll tell you why right now. That's because it's the mission statement for the company that I work for. I can see that these two things, Gene Watson and my mission statement, overlap each other. I took out the company name, blah, 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 was founded on the belief that caring for the sick, the elderly, and the infirm is a special and sacred stewardship. And then it goes on to say that we want to do that in all our homes. Whoever enters a home will be met with kindness, competence, and compassion. And that really is the way that I feel when I go to work. And when I'm a nurse, I feel like I'm giving people things that they can never pay back. So at the end of a day, nursing is a complex profession. It's kind of like the old anatomy physiology books that have the vellum. One has a picture of the skeleton, one has the inner organs, one has the musculature, and we take one layer away. Nurses are like that. We're all those layers layered on top of each other. Sometimes we're practitioners, sometimes we're teachers, sometimes we're advocates, and at least for myself, sometimes we are ministers. And the reason that I say that is that if I follow Gene Watson's theory out, if I'm providing a sacred act, there must be a sacred entity or a set of sacred beliefs that I am carrying forth. But nonetheless, whether a person adheres to a particular faith or they don't, the act of giving care, I believe, has a spiritual aspect to it, regardless of a person's spiritual beliefs. And that's because by practicing care, a nurse can change a patient's perception of suffering. That's from a study, and there's the reference to it. Also, by practicing care, we ennoble our patients. We give them dignity. By practicing care, we also ennoble ourselves. By practicing. And I promise this won't turn into Bible hour, but just one of the aspects of caring for me comes from the Bible, and that's empathy. Paul said to rejoice with those who rejoice and to grieve with those who grieve. And when you practice that kind of empathy, you validate your patient, you validate what they're feeling. Sometimes in our culture, it tells us to be strong and not to complain. But patients in the illness process feel hopeless sometimes. Sometimes they feel powerless over a sickness that they can't manage, they have no control over, and they feel afraid. And when we show care, we are telling them, it's okay that you feel like that. You're not weak because you feel powerless or afraid or hopeless. And I think for me, that's the best part of showing care is the empathy. So empathy is one part of care, but care is hard to define. So it's intangible. It can't be seen or easily defined. There's no formula. There's no recipe. There's no checkoff list to guide one into practicing care. In many respects, it kind of is an art. But one of the best things about care is when it is there, it can be felt, even if defining it can be a little bit intangible. And the great thing about care is it can do powerful things for our patients. That's because care is life-giving. It validates, as I said, and it can even change the perception of pain, as that study pointed out. Sometimes the talk about caring and giving care can be scary because we all know of the term called caregiver fatigue. Sometimes I walk on the floor in my nursing facility and I wonder why I even came. There's 100 things to do all at once and I just feel absolutely overwhelmed. And that's where I had to grow as a nurse and learn as a nurse that it's not all on my shoulders. There are other ways that we can show care. Such as in my facility, sometimes we bring a pastor from the outside and hospice comes and takes care of some of those needs. But there are other ways we can visit have a arrange a visit from a family member to come and take care of our patient. We can call a pastor ourselves, or we can arrange for something as easy as pet therapy. And these are all things that can jumpstart that light of hope inside our patient and get them on the road to healing. And a final word about care is the admonition to remember to practice self-care, because that's Caritas process number 1, and it reads, embrace altruistic values and practice loving kindness with self and others. Thank you for watching my presentation. I attached a hard copy document that has my references on it.